The first thing I want to tell you is you might not want to watch this video because I have long fingernails and I didn't get around to cutting them because I'm very eccentric. Self-grooming isn't something I think about all the time like other people. I think more about radios, solving problems and things like that. Now, the command radio, if you should recap one, which I doubt you will, you'll buy one on eBay. You'll get it home, you'll open it up, you'll realize how much work it is to recap it. And then after you recap it, you're going to need a power supply, and then you're going to have to be able to troubleshoot it. Now, but for your fantasy, I'll show you. Here's the radio, and on the back here goes a Dyna Motor normally. Okay, enter the picture, Dyna Motor. Okay, now the Dyna Motor just sits on here. All right, let me pull these clamps back. There's these clamps that after you put it on, you push them forward. It keeps it from falling off. They're like C clamps. They hook around these hubs. Okay, let's see if we can get this on here. One shot. Okay, it's on. All right, now, then you would run it with 24 volts. Now, a 24 volt power supply will look like this. You gotta mind the mess here, okay? I'm in the middle of building something. The last few days, or last week or so, I've been throwing out electronic stuff. Here's what a 24 volt power supply looks like. Big honking transformer. All right, full wave bridge, 2 capacitors. Okay, just straight 24 volts. And that spins the Dyna Motor. The 24 volts lights the tubes, and it also spins the Dyna Motor, which produces the high voltage. I forgot the voltage. 28 volts. The DC voltage is 250 volts. And this thing will run, the Dyna Motor will run anywhere from 24 volts to 28 volts. That's one solution. Now, if you don't have a Dyna Motor, all right, watch out, I got long fingernails. If you don't have the Dyna Motor, the next step is you build yourself a different kind of power supply. All right, now it would be something like this. Let's move this temporarily out of the way. You know, I can't help this. This isn't real professional because you know what? I don't get paid for doing these videos, and I'm going to be a little bit more nasty with the comment people. I've been watching this other guy's video. He sits in a car and he rants at the stuff that's going on in the world. And he made some real nasty comments about the comment people, how stupid they are. And they are. They don't listen to what you're saying. They think they know things which they don't. But anyway, back to the supply. Now you come in here on a 110 volt switch. 110 in, switch. 24 volt transformer. 24 volts comes out here between ground and one of these wires, yellow wire. And that lights the tubes. So you just hook that on the back here. All right, wherever it goes. On here. All right, and ground. All right. So now when we turn this on, the filaments will light. 24 volts. Nothing was done to this radio. This radio is original. It's been recapped. It runs on 24 volts. All right, to 28. I think you can juice it up there. Well, anyway, now this yellow wire. Okay, and the yellow actually might be the filament. Well, anyway, there's a full wave bridge on here. All right, now let's go with the transformers. I'll explain. There's 2 transformers. 24 volts goes out, lights the filaments. It also goes to this transformer, which is like a 12.6 volt transformer, but it's backwards. You put the 12.6 volt transformer winding to the 24 volts center tap in one of the outer leads. So what happens is it becomes an isolated 110. The 110 comes in, it gets changed to 24. From center tap to the outside winding becomes 12.6, goes into the 12.6 volt winding of this transformer, and out comes approximately 160 volts AC into a full wave bridge. You have two capacitors in pi. There's a resistor here, and the full wave rectification goes into the first 47 microfarad cap, goes to a resistor, and into another final cap, then to the radio, and it gives you very little hum. You don't need a choke with this type of transformer because it's full wave. It's fairly quiet. You might get a little tiny bit of hum. Now, notice that this transformer or this power supply is now as big as the radio. Okay, that bothered me. Okay, so I went looking around on the internet, and I found that there was a company that made a power supply that sat on the back of the ARC radios. That would be BC 453, 454, 455. There's also ARC numbers. Go look it up. In other words, you need filament voltage and high voltage. Okay, so what I came up with is the same supply I just showed you in a nice box. All right, and I bent this box, and it's got an on-off switch, just the same as the one made on the plastic chassis. Okay, on and off. It's got the 24-volt transformer and the 12-volt one backwards, and a full wave bridge sitting over in here. Okay, and this was my first shot. All right, and here's the connector I made. I put holes in the bottom so air could go in, but it wasn't needed. Okay, this thing does not get hot because the transformer is actually overrated for what I'm doing, and any heat that builds up goes right through the aluminum case out through the top. And here's the top. I made this, okay, using the Harbor Freight brake. Now, after using this power supply for a while, I wanted another one. So I went a little more fancier. These are actual banana jacks. I didn't make the connector myself this time. I used banana jacks, miniature banana jacks. Now this sits on here, just like that. All right, we got it all in the frame here. All right, now what you can see here is the connectors, the 3 connections. You can see the on and off switch. You can see the Heiko grommet where the AC line is going to go through. What else is in here? Oh, and you can see the 2 capacitors, and this is called a pi configuration. It's got an input cap to the resistor, 500 ohms, 10 watt, to another capacitor, and then out of the radio. And the 2 transformers will be mounted in here. And here's let's see the transformer. Here's one. Okay, now this is actually an 18-volt transformer, but it'll be driven by this 24 reversed. Okay, just like the transformer I showed you. And the reason I use 2 separate transformers is you can dig them up cheaper than one transformer, and you can get it into a little box. Okay, and I showed you my design. Now, I did mention that there was a company selling a box that fit on the back, but it overlapped. It didn't sit streamlined on the back like that. Okay, it hung over the back, and in it had a transformer to light the filaments, but it used the AC line to a diode. Actually, back in those, it was a selenium rectifier to some capacitors. So if you put the plug in the wall the wrong way, the chassis of the radio became hot. So, but my design is I have isolation. I created an isolation transformer, added 2 separate transformers, put back to back. It's an old trick. Heathkit uses this trick on some of their scopes. They don't use one big expensive transformer, they use 2 transformers. That's where I picked up the trick, okay? And then where I worked, we had guys that did TV repair, and we had a bunch of transformers, all different amperages, ones that were surplus, left over from something, and they were in the engineering room, and they were going to throw them out. And one guy realized you could put 2 of them back to back and make a real high amperage isolation transformer for doing like Sony television sets. Sony's were hot chassis, all right, and then other ones also were. In other words, so when you're using your scope and all that, you want to be isolated, so you don't, the scope lead's ground. If you plug the TV in the wrong way, and then you put the scope lead on the chassis of the TV, you see sparks. and there's a little fusible link in a Sony. It's a little piece of wire, it burns away. So you might not know it, you might not be able to find it, and the lights may actually go off in the room you're in. But it's pretty interesting stuff. But I want to tell you what I've been up to lately is throwing stuff out. And the hardest box I had to go through, there were two large boxes of headphones, crystal set headphones. And in there, I had almost all the major brands and all the cheap ones. And in my videos, I was comparing them with using a signal generator, using scientific method. And a lot of the headphones that people were telling you were really good, they don't know what they're talking about, okay? I found the Brandy's was the best for the price. And I bought the Baldwins, and I had the trim. The trims inside look a lot like, what the hell did I just say? The Brandy's, okay? But instead of having two little magnets, they have one big horseshoe type, or one big U-shaped magnet. They were about the same as the Brandy's. See, with the Brandy's, I showed you, if you had seen the videos, how to recharge the magnets. There's a lot of stories. You just wrap wires around it. It's all lies. It's all bullshit. But I'm standing over this box, and I didn't buy these headphones to use. I bought them to do an experiment to see which ones are really the best. And then they're sitting there now. And they came from somebody's basement. They got sold on eBay. I bought them. I did the testing. All right. And I figured out which brands are basically the best. I realized a lot of the crystal radio stuff, a lot of these people, they just talk about stuff. Oh, I have a set of trims I wouldn't give away or sell. It's all bullshit, okay? And after you actually own the stuff they're talking about, and you do comparison, you realize they only have one type. You can't scientifically, with scientific method, tell which headphone is better than another one if you only have just one brand. But they do it, okay? And that's one of the annoying things. And then, like I said, I've been watching this guy's videos, and he keys in on it pretty good on when you call someone up on the phone, and you get the robo thing, and you have to hit 1, hit 2, hit 3. He called that right. One of his other videos was a credit card charge that was bullshit. Watching his videos, he's more realistic. He's sitting in a car. He's got, I don't know if it's some type of road camera that he's talking to, but his videos are pretty good. A lot of my videos were distorted because of Windows 10 program. Windows 10 screwed up a program. I didn't know what was happening. I had to research it, and I went through that. But this guy he's got a pretty good shtick going, as they say up in New York. It's pretty fun. I watched a few of his videos. But I went through this box of headphones. And it's tough. It's tough even for me. I can throw stuff out. And what I did was I took all the headphones out of 2 boxes, and I put the ones in that I wanted to keep in, and the rest went in the garbage, okay? I kept a few extra cords that go with the headphones, and it went in the garbage, okay? I threw out Timex Sinclair stuff, all the circuit boards I made to go with the Timex Sinclair, memory, expansion modules, control, gone, gone. All right, and some stuff's still gonna go, and I'm zeroing in to what I enjoy the most. Okay, now I like to stay busy, and while working with these command radios, I decided, fits on there pretty good. I decided to build myself a second supply, and to bend the aluminum really nice, lay it out really perfect, you know. But it's still, this one is still this one. And this was this prototype. I took it slow, and at one point, I had to figure out how to fit the full-wave bridge, the resistor, and 2 capacitors in there. It becomes more stable once the wires are on, but I did it. And like I said, there was a company that sold a hot chassis supply for it, and it had a 24-volt transformer in it. Oh, and it used 110, a selenium rectifier, and it also had a choke in there. That's what threw me when I first saw the insides of that. And then I found the schematic. And then I realized they had to put the choke in there because they were only halfway rectifying off the line. And that produced a lot of hum. And by putting the choke in there and two capacitors, they made it pretty good. Now I'm using full wave rectification because since those days we have some 600 volt 3 amp, actually might be 6 amp, 6 amp 6 amp 600 volt full wave bridges you can buy. Actually I get these out of switching supplies, out of computer switching supplies. And the capacitors I did buy, you could use the capacitors out of a computer supply, but they're kind of high in microfarads, and it's possible when you turn it on, the initial inrush current will cause your transformer, the high voltage side, to open up on you. So, you know, I did some pretty good engineering on this. Like I said, I seen it done on a Heathkit scope. And then at one point, after you're all done, you rotate the transformer to produce less hum on the display itself. It's pretty slick the way they did it. And the transformer went bad, and I took the transformer apart, and then I went back to Heathkit, and I told him, and he goes, "Oh," he says, "you should have brought the transformer in." I said, "Well, I cut it open to see that I was right that it failed." He says, "Yeah, we had a whole bunch of them fail." He says, "We would have gave you one." I said, "What does it cost?" It was like for 23 bucks. I said, "No, it ain't worth driving all the way home and bringing back what's left of it." So for 23 bucks, I got a new transformer that was made a little bit different, and I threw it in my scope, and it worked. But you know, it's fun. I enjoy radios, but only a certain amount of time per day now. I broke away from walking with my neighbor because he just wants to walk one big circle or one big lap around the neighborhood real fast. And then it turns out he's diabetic, has high blood pressure, and he's overweight. So I'm pushing myself to walk at his speed. And he's not in good shape, okay? But he's making believe he is. And he didn't get his COVID shots. I got my COVID shot. We're totally different type people. I can stop and talk to people. Sometimes he finds that annoying, but sometimes it's better to walk by yourself. Now, today I went out for 2 hours, and I met people I haven't seen in 2 years. And the one guy was making believe he didn't know me. I said, "Oh, you don't know anybody around here?" The guy, I believe the guy's name is, his wife's name is Amy. He lives like right in here. And the guy's like giving me the no. So I go up 2 houses up and I make eye contact with the other guy, which I've always stopped and talked to him. So I went in there and I said, "I've talked to you before." I says, "Oh yeah." He says, "You stopped by here, you know, over the years many times." I said, "The guy with the wife, Amy, you know," he goes, "He's right there." I said, "Yeah, I was just talking to him. He's saying no." He goes, "Oh, I don't know." And I said, "He does interior of cars, right?" "Yeah, that's him." I said, "Okay, all right." He was just being weird, okay? And then I bumped into two ladies. I always go to their yard sale. I had one of the hats on that I got from them. I met this one old guy on the other neighborhood, and he's always sitting out there. His wife makes him smoke in the garage. And I was talking to him for a little bit. I always stop and talk to him. And then there's other people in different neighborhoods saying hi to me. They haven't seen me in a while. But I go for 2-hour walks. And then sometimes I stop at the car wash. I know people that work there. I know people that work inside the building of the car wash. And I just missed someone I haven't seen in a few years. But yeah, that's what I do. I'm breaking my day up into several parts. And one of them is throwing crap out. And I'm going to tell you, you know, you're thinking about, "Oh, I'm going to start doing that." Good luck. Okay? You're going to, once you open a box of stuff and you start picking those pieces out, something happens to your brain. And you start remembering when you bought it and what you bought it for. Now, in my case, I bought it and I used it for the purpose I bought it for. And then I have no use for it. So I make a decision. What will I keep? You know, what I might someday use it for. Or some pieces are really expensive and the rest goes out. Okay. Oh, I wanted to tell you, you're going to cringe at this. I bought a bunch of Kraft remote control stuff. And every time you want to buy like a transmitter or a receiver or anything, a power supply to charge it, a guy will throw in some servos, worthless servos, okay? You can buy servos now for like $3 each, small ones. And I had a giant box of those servos. So I went through it to make sure when I threw that box of servos out, that there was nothing important in that box. But that was a big box, and when I dumped it out, there were a lot of servos in there. And they're the ones, they have the ones with the arm that rotates, and then they have the ones with the two separate arms. One arm moves forward, one arm moves backwards. Several styles of those. And I think there's used on sailboats or whatever, model sailboats. But a lot of those use split supply. I was set up for split supply when I was working with them. And they're in the garbage, okay? Gone. I have the newer servos. A lot of the craft transmitters and receivers, I converted them back to 27 megacycles so I could actually use them. They were up on frequencies you're not allowed to use anymore. So I converted them. I had this flying monkey thing I was building, and then China took forever to send me the cloth. I ordered some cloth from them to build the paraglider, and they just didn't get it to me on time. I moved on to another product, and then I got the helicopter, the model helicopter. That took the desire to learn how to fly something. And before I bought that, I bought the simulator program and the remote control, the controller that plugs into the computer. And I learned how to fly both helicopters and aircraft. And then I went and bought the helicopter for $59 and learned how to fly it in the living room. So that phase of I wish I would have, I wish I could have, that's gone. Okay. But the one thing I do enjoy are old radios, old tube radios, and I just wanted another supply, and I figure I'd show it to you. You know, if you really want to make one of these command radios look nice, you know, a custom power supply that fits right on the back there. Okay, and it has to be a little bit taller, unless you want to grind the ears down, the mounting ears on the. If you grind these down, you could get it to fit in the box. But I don't like destroying any kind of part like this that could be reused. I don't like butchering it up. Now you may notice this transformer. You see that third wire that's been added on there? I ordered this from eBay, and the description said center tap. And then after I bought it, I went back. When I got it, I went back and read the description. The guy took the CT off. He sold me one that was cut. Of course, I cut through it, epoxied it, I redid it. But I'm like, no way I would have bought that transformer. And even in the pictures, it doesn't have the center tap. So when he went to ship it to me, he quick went in and changed the description. So I won't give him a review. I won't give him any feedback at all. But that's the stuff. You know, when I buy stuff on eBay, it's always something. You know. And here's out of the. This is out of chargers of a craft power supply, battery charger. I have a couple of these, and these are 24 volt out, and then it has a 110 in or a 220 in. So this might get used in a project, but that's what I did. I went through the boxes and boxes of stuff, and I culled the herd. And I've done this throughout my life. And if I realize I threw something out that I should have kept, I'll just go buy it. Once you get in that mentality, oh, I threw a bunch of stuff away and then I needed it. That's a trick your brain plays on you. Okay? It might actually happen. But throw stuff away, get organized. And then if you accidentally throw something out that you need a few weeks later, buy it again. But I guarantee you, when you buy it again, you're never going to use it. Okay? Your mind is incredible. There's a hoarder section of your mind that makes you create scenarios for what you're going to use certain things for. And they're little fantasies, and they never happen. And that's one of the things I have trouble with people, is they're always telling me stuff. You should do this. They're never doing what they're supposed to be doing. Okay? Like I said, when someone makes a comment to me, I click on the comment and look for their videos. If I don't see any videos, I take their comment with a grain of salt. Okay? Because unless you build things and you finish them, okay, because a lot of people build stuff. The more annoying people collect what they need to build something and they never finish it. They jump from project to project to project. Now, I'm on a project, and I've got 4 of these command radios, different frequencies. I have the 5.9 or whatever it is, the beacon radio that you could come off a radio on 455 IF and then go into into the radio and it makes it more narrow. That's been recapped. All 4 of my radios have been recapped, and they have the original flower pot capacitor in there. All right, I grind the top off, very gently grind it off. This little ring pops off. I heat the bathtub capacitor up. I pull it out. I drain the beeswax out. I unsolder the capacitors inside. I gut it. I put new capacitors in, and I re-epoxy the lid back on it. And when I put it back together, when you open that radio, it looks just like it came out of the bomber. Okay, all my radios are original. Okay, I don't switch the 24 volt filaments to 12. Okay, a lot of in other words, it's 3 strings of 24 in parallel. There's a 12 ohm tube and a 12 ohm tube in series, and then a 12 in series, and 12 and a 12 in series, and all 3 of those series strings are in parallel. That's how you get 24 volts. Now, some people change the 12 volt tubes to 6 volt tubes. There's all ways to go around it, but all you have to do is buy yourself a 24 volt transformer. Okay, and then go reverse. You're making a custom transformer, and the one in reverse makes the high voltage for the radio. And use a full wave bridge. And that's all the advice I'm going to give you. I won't give you measurements or that. Do the work. Do the work. The fun part of the hobby is actually making stuff, designing it, making it. That's what I find interesting, and I enjoy that. And that's where I'm zeroing in on what I really enjoy, and to limit the time that I spend on each product. Now, every night before I go to bed, I do a few extra steps on this. Okay? And one night it was just lining it up, getting the bending jig out, the Harbor Freight bending jig, bending this piece. And this is tempered aluminum. This is really hard to bend, but I got to use it up. I bought a lot of it. But I spend a little bit every day on a project. I stretch it out. I do my walk, and now my walks will probably get longer. And I'll get around to meeting people I haven't seen in a while. Now, I realize, I have a hernia. My feet swell if I stand too long. So as I'm walking, I have to be careful who I stop and talk to and how far out I am, because it really hurts to walk back in swollen feet, and that's edema. I've had this 15 years it started, and by walking with that guy high speed for 1 mile, whatever he was doing, I get palpitations. I have benign arrhythmia. I have things wrong with me. I'm 70 years old. A couple months more and I'll be 70. And I realized that I want to zero in on the quality of life. What do I really enjoy? And I know that having too much junk in a room and walking by that room and looking at that pile of junk, and that stuff I have used. And like I said, the difference between me and a bunch of you guys is I bought the stuff and I did what I wanted to do with it. And you got stuff you never got to. Okay? And that's why those guys annoy me, because they're always telling me, oh, I just drill some holes in that case, let the heat out. Yeah, okay, I did that. It was worthless. It's an aluminum case. The heat goes to the top of the case, goes from one side of the lid to the other and out. Okay? You don't need any holes. And the transformers, because the way I rated them, don't get hot. They only get lukewarm. And transformers can take a lot of heat if you've ever been around electronic products. So I think that's it. All right, that's it.